everyone. Good evening. Thanks for joining me on my painting hangout stream. Hey Roselle, hey everyone else in chat. It's great to have you here. I actually do painting for once and not just procrastinate. So today I'm painting something special. And that's something that I'm painting for a friend who is running a Kickstarter right now. And it's actually something for a set of 3D printed taverns. It's a whole modular tavern set. But because his name is Dragon Workshop, he wanted to do something special for the Kickstarter to give away. And he decided that he was going to give away baby Tiamat. And she is the cutest, I love her. She is the best. Can you ban this dude? Alright, he's gone. Goodbye. So, when he was working on the poses for this miniature, he asked me for a suggestion on what kind of pose Chibi Tiamat would have. And my suggestion was, why don't you give her like a cute cat pose? Like, you know, because dragons are kind of like cats. Only a bit more likely to burn your house down. Cats also burn your house down, especially when they knock over candlesticks and stuff. So either way, he did a cute cat pose, and it's of this Chibi Tiamat. She has a little heat separate. Has some color on it already. She's leaning in to sniff a very, very unhappy, terrified fairy. So keep in mind that this is kind of like just the test version, the print tested version of the miniature. It's not going to be the final version. There's going to be some changes that we made. Like you will notice that there are a couple of fit issues on here. Especially on the upper eights. So those issues will be a lot less obvious on the final version of the model. But she's super cute. And this is terrified, super scared fairy. So I kind of just tossed a few colors down on there to get a better idea of like what I wanted to use. And nothing's really set in stone here. Except the fairy, who will likely, you know, be roasted, toasted pretty soon. Stay that you chibi dragon thing. Okay, there we go. Okay. She does not want to stay in there, but I'll do that. I understand this feeling. But yeah, it's kind of really super cute. And you know, because it was partially my suggestion that I asked him for the file so he could help print test this. Which is why we are painting that tonight. And I'm about to remove it from the base because it's not glued in. Of course, later on when I'm gluing this back to the base, it's not going to fit perfectly. So I will have to spend a little bit of time filling the gaps for that. But it does mean that I can paint the underside of the miniature a lot more easily. And that's a good thing because there isn't a lot of space to get a brush underneath the miniature here. So maybe that's a slight suggestion that Chris could definitely take into account, especially for like the fairy, because fairy is great, but because the wings are like super close together, it's gonna be hard getting your brush on the inside of the wings. Because it's so tight. And Chibi Tiamat sits on a 2-inch base. So for the rest of us that are not American, that's about 51 millimeters or 5 cm. And if you want to, you can scale her up to double that. And she can become a gargantuan Tiamat in that case. Yes, the knee could be glued on instead of base inserts. So that's likely going to be the option for the next version of this. So the original reason he wanted to do base inserts was because he was worried about people being a bit clumsy and breaking off the nails or her claws. Because the larger version of this is going to be scaled up so you can print it on FDM. And with FDM printers, having something like this to give it extra stability really works well. But I think that for the resin version, he's going to be cutting this off and supporting it separately. So that's the plan. And of course, this is an early version. Chris has been really nice to share it with me, so I can share it with everyone. It's really great of him. I mean, my first reaction seeing this was, oh my god, it's Tiamat, but she's baby. She's so baby, I love her. She's cutest baby. So this is what I'm going to be painting today on the stream. Can we finish her? I'm not sure. But I'm sure we can get quite close. And in any case, if you really want to take a look at the Kickstarter, you can check it out. I'm gonna drop the link in chat in a moment. A very long moment. There we go. Thank you, Crimson. So if you're interested in getting something that can be printed as a full-size tavern and it's entirely modular, it has more realistic walls rather than having super thick walls, it works in both resin and FDM, then you want to check out the Kickstarter. It's the last 4 or so days. And it's hit most of the stretch goals, so you get lots and lots of cool variations. And the coolest thing is that if you are someone that plays Curse Strahd or is planning to play Curse Strahd, there are some amazing options in there because Dragon Workshop is known for replicating a lot of the most iconic locations from Curse Strahd. You know, whether that's an old bone grinder, windmill, or the abbey, or a certain manor, or you know, Ark Enforcement. You definitely really want to check out his stuff because he's also offering his Patreon back catalog on Kickstarter as part of this Kickstarter, and I think that's really worth it. It's a super good deal. And I say this because I'm one of his patrons, and with the amount of work that he puts in for his stuff, it's really great. So that's something that if you or your friends running Curse Strahd would be interested in, then you want to check out the Kickstarter. And the even cooler thing is that his previous Kickstarter was Shipworks. And what Shipworks is that it's a modular system for you to build almost any kind of ship that you can think of on a fantasy setting, of course. And it can just come apart and be packed away super easily. Like, all just clips together using open up clips. So that was his previous Kickstarter, and definitely Chris is known for doing some modular stuff, and that makes his work very useful for people that don't just want to build like one and done set pieces. they also want to be able to adjust those and reuse them for future campaigns. So if you're the kind of DM or you know the kind of DM, then you really want to tell them, hey, you should check this Kickstarter out. Especially with the Spelljammer coming up. Because it's the Spelljammer book coming up, you can actually use his ships to build airships and spelljammers. And from what I hear on the grapevine, he is also working on a couple of cool ships that would be great jammers. And of course, it's not to say that the current Kickstarter isn't worth it even if you aren't printing an entire tavern, because he's gone to a lot of effort to include lots of furniture and miniatures for any kind of tavern in there. So right now I'm just putting a bit of a cream colored base down. It's a little messy, that's okay. It's the underside. You're right. But yeah, it's a lot of the things that I wish for as a DM, and as a DM, I have realized after a while when you start using a lot of terrain, what you really need is NPCs. Monsters, those are easy enough to find. But if you want to do like a proper town or tavern setup, you need a lot of tavern patrons, fellow adventurers, staff members in your tavern. And having all of that in one Kickstarter is a pretty good deal. Not to mention that I think the best thing about Chris is that he is still supporting content that he released years and years ago. So if you think that you could use an extra piece to expand your collection of modular pieces for your ship, he will happily work on that for you and release it to everyone else that backed the Kickstarter for free. So he's a super great guy, and his community is also really awesome. So shout out to you guys if you are listening into this. You are awesome. But also stop making me buy stuff. It is a temptation. A little bit of that color in there. And it's not quite a bit darker when it dries, and that's also okay. And you can tell I've not done a brush spa for my brushes in a bit, because I cleaned that out recently, but I think they deserve like a nice long soak or something. Even my nicer brushes, like, I don't know what happened to this brush. It looks like it ran head first into something. So I think it's a good soak and like brush soap. Of course, once you actually get water, it's really sharp, so can't complain about it. But it's so frizzy when it dries. Need to do some brush care and kind of retrain it to shape. So I probably need to pull up a picture of Tiamat to get some reference sooner or later. But in the meantime, I think that this part should be off-white as well. Look at how his brush is dyed. To just get some of the base coating out of the way, I'm just gonna also kind of quickly base coat the wing membranes. I'll probably pick them out later on with some extra colors. Just that I'm just boring off-white. There's some really nicely sculpted veins on here. She's so Chibi, I cannot take it, it's so cute. Cranky dragon face. I'm just layering on colors right now. It's there we go. It's like this. The warp is too strong with this. I'm gonna change songs. Change songs. Check out. There we go. Some chill music. Hashtag relaxing. And back to city paint. Try to be a little cleaner when painting in this wing membrane so that I have less work to do later. So as the mother of all chromatic dragons, Tiamat has some of the chromatic dragon colors in her as well for different shades. But most of her main body is actually a dark red, like the red dragon. So I'm using a really nice deep dark red later on to just put some colors down and shadow. And what I'm using for this is actually P3's Manov White Base. It's a very versatile color that's very nice for painting an off-white tone. And that has decent coverage. Just painting the upper half of her wings and not the underside yet. And that will be done shortly. So nice and easy. I'm just thinking about like what the veins should be painted as. These wings. Also, was it just me? Okay. It's a bit out of focus. I think I might go for slightly more cutesy look with this miniature. And that normally means more brighter, more saturated colors, less shading, I suppose. Which is interesting. Initial base coats are done. I might layer up there. It's really fun to just scale up for D&D to the actual like gargantuan Tiamat base size. Like your entire party expects to fight terrifying mother of dragons. And then boom, Chibi Tiamat. Seems like not though. So I'm sure they'd be scared after all. Subvert expectations. But actually it's still the same. I As I say though, I'm like super low energy this couple of days. It's just the weather is terribly bad and horrible. Thanks global warming. And half the time I feel like I'm melting because even if you wanna sweat and cool off, you can't because it's so humid that your sweat can't evaporate, so you just feel sweaty and gross and cranky. So I'm a little stronger when applying white or the off-white to the underside because if you look at her wings from below, the wing membrane should be translucent enough so you can see like the sun or whatever through them. So they are a little bright. And of course I also have to paint the edges, which are very easy to miss and forget. I mean, I like Tiamat a lot, and I like her as a final fight boss, but what I don't like is the original hardcover adventure that's written to end with fighting her. Like, Rise of Tiamat is not really well done. And if you compare it to some of the more newly released content, you can see the difference. That's also because when they were first writing it, they were trying to figure out the content, I guess, for 5th ed. And they lacked a lot of experience. Because there are lots of people that think writing adventures is easy because they can run adventures. It's like, boy, do I have a surprise for you. I'm not saying to try. So I test base molded the page of a darker burnt red, and that's also because when I use that burnt red to shadow whatever brighter color I put down. It's just I think she should have a little bit of, yes, off-white on their fins. So just rough that in. And this is not a painting style I'm used to, because what I'm having to do is layer a bit less and paint in more brighter, more saturated colors, which means I have to be a lot more precise with how I use my brush. And I am not very precise. That's okay, this can be cleaned up later. Or maybe on the inside and no one will see it. Hello! Hey mate, I'm glad you could join us. It's pretty early for you, right? So for those of you that don't know him, Freight Brush is one of my painting buddies over from Discord, and he also streams. So right now we kind of have a painting challenge going on between a few of us, and we're going to be painting the same picture. But I have not started on mine yet, so let's not talk about that. And yeah, check him out. So if you like miniature painting and you think that my stream is not long enough, check out his stream, because if I recall, he normally starts streaming a couple of hours after me. Not to mention that he also does a lot of work with oil paints. So if you're interested in someone who is pretty used to the oil paint ecosystem and knows how to make it work for him, then you want to check out the Freight Brush. And hey, baby Tiamat is super cute, right? I love her so much. She's just the cutest, the most baby of the babiest. Okay. So now that I'm done base coating a teeny tiny portion, let me show off baby Tiamat. So this testprint version, where the legs are on their own, the chunk to the base, it will be done differently, but this is initially done because it's easier to print this in FDM if you have it like that. But this is the resin version, so changes will be made. You can slot in here. A little bit of gap filling at the sides, but it's not a big deal. And you're welcome. You do good work. It'd be a shame to not do a shout out for you. So she is super cute, super chibi. Look at that. And for this, I definitely did not do a lot of work with gap filling because, like I said, this is the original test version. And I wanted to leave it as is so I could give Chris some good feedback on how well this fit for me. So this definitely needs a little bit of work. But the face is super cute. Look at it. It's super cute. It's baby face. It's Babu. And she is just facing a terrified fairy. So this head is not gonna stick in unless I use blue tack. But she's kind of leaning down and staring at it. Look, when a dog is sniffing something on the floor, or a cat's kind of interested in, and they just lean in to sniff something. That's the exact pose. Because as I was saying earlier, when Chris asked me for some suggestions on how to pose baby Tiamat, my suggestions are, use a cute cat pose. Cat rolling around, cat pawing at the ground, and I guess that cute cat pose means sniffing with intent. It's terrified. Fading. So she's kind of super scared. Haven't really worked much on her. Just put a couple of colors on her. She's this mushroom. And she's super scared. So yeah. The way it's designed so that whether or not you're painting in FDM or resin, it's gonna be a lot easier to assemble the miniature after that. Because I mean, this is cute when it's this scale, but when it's maybe 2 times the size and you have a 4-inch base, that's not as comfortable. So yeah, it's pretty cute. It's a super terrified face. So this is actually for his Kickstarter. It's going on right now. It is not a Dragon Kickstarter, though it is by Dragon Workshop. It's actually a Kickstarter for his Gothic Tavern set, so that you can print a completely modular tavern from scratch. It doesn't have to be a tavern, it can be any kind of house with, slots for walls and everything, and just clips together amazingly. Great. And I think my favorite thing about it is that he also included his previous Kickstarters in the Kickstarter. So if you are looking to assemble your own armada or ships, you want to have your own arsenal, then that is a good time to pick his stuff up, because with his Shipworks modular set, you can pretty much build almost every kind of ship, including Spelljammers. And I think for a lot of us, these Spelljammers are pretty important. Like, you can print the ship as big or as small as you want, depending on the amount of pieces you bring to clip together. And because it's modular, it kind of solves an issue that a lot of us have when we start painting really big terrain, where we go, wow, this terrain would be great, but storage is such a pain. Because his stuff is modular, you can disassemble it and store it in a bin really easily. And I think that's a great selling point. And that's for his previous Kickstarter. And like I mentioned earlier, if you are running Curse Strut, or planning to run it, or have a friend that loves Curse Strut, you can also pick up his Patreon back catalog, which includes all of the STLs that you need to, well, almost all the STLs you need to print out the complete Curse Strut campaign from start to end. And he's working on the epic this month on Patreon, so if I recall, the only main location that he has not done yet is the castle. And sadly, I don't think he's going to hit the goal on Kickstarter, but if he could hit that goal, he would have done the entire Castle Ravenloft Kickstarter backwards. It should be super cool, because I don't think anyone has ever done a skill Castle Ravenloft. I think maybe one person tried to do it by building it by hand with foam, and it's just crazy undertaking. It's super difficult to do. So just imagine that, just 3D print it. And if you include the main castle, the guardhouse, the walls, I think it would easily max out most D&D tables. Kinda really wanna see it, but well. I mean, not until the end of the year, because Chris said that even if we don't hit the goal Kickstarter, he will still do it. It's just that it will take a little longer. Look at this Chibi. Sheeps. Okay. I'm gonna check something real quick. I want to make sure that I am painting her heads the right color. Tiamat. And of course the fake grand order Tiamat shows up. She is also a great rendition of Tiamat. So first things first, I'm gonna base coat the rest of the body, that is the red scaled portions, with the burnt red. Where is my burnt red? Here we go. It's a good thing I'm not using tube paints because I keep shaking my tube paints to everyone's confusion. So wee bits of burnt red on the palette. And it's time to unleash the base coating. Base coat mode activated. You will notice that it looks super bright. And that's because I'm doing a lot of it and the paint is wet. When this burnt red dries, it gets quite a bit darker, just like the other head that I already have base coated on the table. I do say that I do like the way it can be removed from the base, because sometimes when I'm painting a miniature and then I glue it on the base, it doesn't stick very well because the paint might not be strong enough. Or, you know, when I'm doing the basing portion, I end up painting over the miniature. And that's a pain in the ass to fix. I hate that. So by doing it this way, I can essentially paint the base and the miniature separately, and pay more attention to the parts of the base that are connected to me. It's also a lot easier to support, which is, I guess, a bigger selling point if you want to do your own supports for this miniature. Ah, she's so chibi. I mean, I know how the heads are. I just want to make doubly sure that I'm not painting them the wrong way, because they're not left to right. And there's middle and then there's up and down. Can you imagine painting Tiamat the wrong head color? Embarrassing. Respect must be due to Dragon Mummy. I have to paint her correctly. If not, she will eat me. You do not want an angry dragon on your case. I have. Still sad. But it's fine, so no one notices. And for me as well, it's not too bad if I could see the full-size dragon head, but because it's like the baby version, some of the details are a little chunkier and chibier, so it's not as obvious to me what kind of dragon it is. Like the red dragon and blue dragon heads are pretty similar, except for the fact that the blue dragon has that chunky little nose horn they have going. A little rhino baby horn there. I love it so much, it's so cute. She's just the cutest, the cheapiest, the cheapiest. The babiest of all baby dragons. Yeah. Like, I like how the black dragons have the handlebar horns. They are super easy to recognize. And green dragons have the weird fins in their head. I guess they're kind of finish. That was terrible. Just don't shoot. And it's pretty fun because like the thing that got me into D&D in the first place was reading the Draconomicon a long, long, long time ago. Back when I would read everything. So you know, I was reading some PDFs, cough cough, and learning about the D&D settings. And like, you know, here's a 5-headed dragon. I'm like, oh my god, cool. I'm in. I'm sold. Here are some ideas for godly domains. Oh, that's a cool idea. Let's keep going. And you know, things happen, and I'm here. Painting a dragon. Who would have thought? Look at her, she is Chibi. Also needs a little bit of color on the back of her head. I will definitely say that if you are painting this yourself, you will want to paint the head separately. There is a reason that they're separated, and it's not just to make them easier to print, is because they are a little close together, and if we want to get to them and get the underside of a lot of parts. It is a huge pain in the neck. Okay, Tiamat, you are very chibi and cute. Let's kind of go in and make sure that your scales are roughly base coated all the way up to your nail claws. So I don't give you an involuntary manicure. Because that will result in terrible dragon things happening to you. Like, you know, trying to trim your cat's nails when they are not cooperative. Or dog nails, even. And right now, I'm not worried about blending. Why is that? That is because I'm just doing the deeper shadow colors on each portion. And because they're all gonna be pretty dark and deep, it doesn't matter so much when they're next to each other if I highlight them in such a way that they blend later. Does that make sense? If it didn't, I'm sorry, I don't make sense very often. Let's put this down. And let's get all the other colors. Got my blue dragon, white dragon, black. Yes. Could be painted with a purplish tint because as black dragons get older, they turn purple. I mean, that's the same as humans, right? When they get old enough, they turn purple. That's when they die. Let's get the black dragon friend, Donzos. And I'm gonna need my Delta Speed. I was gonna use Jade, I'm wrong, I will use black green stain. Also, I will say and proceed to forget where I put my black. I don't use a camel green, I want something brighter. As bright as our adorable dragon friend before she lights up the entirety of the black green. Got you. Got you in my sights. So you will notice that I've not been streaming as much as a couple of weeks. And that's because I've been working on so much stuff that I haven't really had the bandwidth to stream for 2 to 3 hours. Or even more than that. So I figured I'll make it up to you guys by taking Crimson out today and doing a stream instead. I'm sure he doesn't mind, he'll be fine. Who wants to see him stream anyway? Right. Fix a little bit more of the over painting that portion. It's not fuzzy black green, fuzzy black dragon, sorry, green dragon, and not the black dragon. These are very different colors. Do not mix up your green if you're black. You're in for a bad time if you do that. You will also notice that as I'm painting this, I'm not making the effort to define the color of the teeth separately. That comes later. Also, I'm kind of just leaving in that little gap there. I might fill it up later on. But I want to see how obvious it is on the mostly finished piece first. So green dragons tend to be pretty green, as the name implies. And the fins that they have on the head tend to be like a yellow-brown or yellow. But right now we are just in base with everything green. You're going green, you're going green, and you are going green. All of you. And why am I doing that? It's because even though this is a small miniature, it has a lot of complicated moving parts. There are a lot of colors in here that I will have to individually highlight and work on. And if I start painting them different colors at this point, I might forget to work on them. It's like, oh hey, no, that's already a different color. And no, I don't want that. I want to work on each bit part by part. Like, you know, I'll do all of the green fins at one time, all of the eyes at one time, so on and so forth. So the only part I'm not worrying too much about is the eyes, because that'll be different as well. And I think I'm gonna kind of blend in a little bit of that off-white for the underside of the green dragon head, so that I don't have to touch that later on. So just this kind of yellowish color. I'm just wet blending it on the underside of the head. Set around the eyes as well. Actually kind of makes it look as though they are glowing, which is cool. Ooh, hello Skull, the nose wolf. Where's your sibling? Hello, hello. Thanks for rating us. And can you get a shout out? Skull. Hi Raiders, thank you for joining us. I am painting a super cute Chibi Tiamat right now. And this is from my friend's Kickstarter project. Put her back onto a little base. Slots in nicely. If I fit her the right way. I'm not good at this. Geometry is difficult. So I'm painting a Chibi Tiamat from the Dragon Workshop Gothic Heavens Kickstarter. It's a free gift that's given to Kickstarter backers. And she has a teeny tiny fairy that she is threatening. I mean, to aggressively hug with her mouth. And it's so cute. It's adorable. This is the head. I've not attached that yet. But it's really cute. And I love her pose. So I had to paint this because this pose came about at my suggestion when I said that she had a cute cat pose. So she's definitely leaning in and preparing to make friends with the fairy aggressively. That's what dragons do. And she's just really cute, and I love her so much. So yeah, right now it's just some really boring and simple base clothing. But I'm sure I'll get to the fun part soon, where I get to paint more details. After more boring base clothing. So what were you just streaming before you decided to come over and read? Were you playing D&D? It's good. It's like what? Wow. Your D&D homebrew for your blog. Oh, cool. So you're writing some stat blogs, or you're writing up some adventures or encounters for your blog? Maybe I love we actually do quite a lot of D&D content ourselves, not just painting. So it's always really nice to see like what other people in the community are up to. That is cool. Writing subclasses, it's really not easy, especially if you want to make sure that they are balanced and interesting. So a sorcerer that hijacks the shadows of living creatures, and a barbarian that can magnetize its body. Seems legit. Do you have any inspiration in particular for working on these subclasses? Yeah, I know, right? Maybe just walk up and then spread your arms, and all your weapons be stuck to them. Like living electromagnet. Mostly art or reading. That is cool. And I find that summoning base sorcerers are always really fun to play, as compared to like the classic blasty songs. That's why I like shadow sorcerers. Something I find that's super cute that I just realized is that, like, as compared to all of the dragon heads that have like normal like teeth, the black dragon head just this super white 2D green that's just so cute, because black dragons are really derpy. It's like, look at me, I have handlebar horns, happy face, grins. Just the cutest. This is actually from Chris Hunt's Gothic Tavern's Kickstarter. Can you get a link in chat, please? So it's a Kickstarter where you can get the files to print your own taverns, and it doesn't have to be a tavern. It works just about everything, depending on what furniture you put inside. And the files work whether or not they're using a resin printer, like I am for this miniature, or an FDM printer. Which means they're actually super useful. And he is also offering his Patreon backlog, which right now is the entire set of Curse Strahd miniatures plus terrain. So if you are running Curse Strahd or you like running stuff that's inspired by Curse Strahd, then it's perfect for Gothic horror. It's really useful. And he also has previous Kickstarter in there as well, which I think is going to be useful for like lots of us because Spelljammer is coming. And that Kickstarter has all the ship parts that you need to build your own Spelljammers. And because they are completely modular, you can reuse parts. And if you need to store them, you can just break them down and they store mostly flat in boxes. And if you are a DM that has as much terrain as we do, you know the pain. You know the pain of storage. It is a never-ending pain. Okay. Where is my dark blue? Nowhere to be found because I didn't take it. I am very smart. Dark blue. I mean, who needs clothes when you can play D&D? Wait, no, that didn't come out quite right. Let's move on. Anyway. Yeah, it's a really great Kickstarter, and I think one of my favorite parts about it is that Chris is a great guy who really helps support his community. So even if you have something that you need help with, and Kickstarter was like 4 or 5 years ago, if you message him for help, he will help. Is that a daily blurbs of NTP? You are the daily blurbs of NTP. It's you. You are a walking derpy thing. So the one chatting with you on the Neo Tokyo Project account is my co-streamer, Crimson. And Crimson is a D&D writer. He runs mostly the D&D portion of our stream. So he's a pretty well-known adventure writer and designer, despite being a bit of a dumbass. But it's okay, we forgive him. So I kind of just mix a bit of black into the grey too, so that it's a bit darker. And I'm just space coating the blue dragon with that dark grey blue color. And not caring too much if I get any of it into the grey, because that's easy enough to blend later on. And by later on, I mean that if you ignore it long enough, you wouldn't notice it anymore. Secret sauce. It's not caring. But yeah, Crimson's previous work was actually nominated for the Annies. And he writes a lot of content for Adventurous League. We've actually been working on a few projects of our own between the two of us, but we can't share those yet. Sad face. So you will notice that the blue dragon, the base color that I'm painting it is a lot less saturated than the other colors. And that's actually totally okay because blue as a paint color has incredibly strong coverage. So when you paint over with a brighter blue later on, it's not going to have any issues at all. Be good. So cute. Chibi. All praise Chibi Tiamat, mother of dragons, babiest of babies, eater of fairies. Yeah, see, he linked the stuff in chat. Alright, cheers. Thanks for dropping by. It's nice chatting for a while. And I'll be sure to check out your stream when I'm done streaming. Have a good day at work. The crate is Ayu. Dragon, and this one is great because, you know, white dragons are normally white-ish. Maybe have a little bit of a yellowish, light blue tone to the gray. It's gray blue, I guess. Look, even if Tiamat is Dragon Mummy, once upon a time she was baby. She had to grow up in somewhere after all. Also, Tiamat did nothing wrong. Praise the Mother Dragon. So just kind of going over the gray with a nice gray blue tone now. Which will bring it in line with the other base coat parts. Speaking of which, Rizal, what are you working on right now? Painting? Sculpting? Sculpting. Sculpting is good. Sculpting. She is the best baby right now. It's just base coats. She was surprisingly good. I guess that's also down to the details that Chris sculpted, because if it's not detailed, if you put down just base coats, it just looks flat. But because he did quite a lot of detail, it looks decent. I'll take out my slightly better brush, and I'm going to take the burnt red again and start painting in the wings, as well as some of the portions that need to be cleaned up. So this is the cleaning stage for the burnt red. Remind me that I have to do some test printing and testing of things soon. It's the part where I have to be a little more cautious, but not super cautious. Just it's fine if it gets onto the wing membranes a bit. But if you do this step nicely, it will really help pop the miniature. But this kind of detail is also a bit harder to do when you're new to painting, because you don't have the brush control to paint a clean line like that. Even if I'm not being super clean, to be honest. There we go. Read. Make sure that I am on camera for this, because I tend to go off camera when I'm doing this one. So what I'm using for this is my old CB7 brush. It's kind of lost a perfect point. It will never have a perfect point ever again. But it's still a very solid brush. Keeps on trucking, even though I have abused it terribly for years. So it is a cutie patootie. And I don't know if I'm going to use her on the table at this scale. It's when I use Tiamat, like Gargantuan. Then she's only large right now. but I will do my best to find a way to use her. I don't care. She's too cute. I'm sure a bunch of tier 1s can handle her, right? Right? Miss Baby Tiamat. Greatly reduce damage. Less legendary actions, they'll be fine. Yeah, Chibi CR 7 Tiamat. Half the CR. Half the size. Does Chris want a stat block? You know what? That'd be really fun. Why don't you do one for him? The chibi is a chibiness. Chibi face. And all will die. All will burn. In fact, I think he was asking the Kickstarter for more suggestions for what people wanted to see in a sculpt. And hello, Nerdhala. Glad you could join us. Hello, hello. I am painting Chibi Tiamat. And right now I'm painting in the ribs, I guess. That's ribs? I can't remember what they're called. The wings. It's just in the base coat stage right now, so don't expect anything super fancy. The wing pinions? No, not quite pinions. Pinions are for feathers. The veins. The fingers, I guess, if they're bad, they're actually fingers. Are dragon wings like bat wings? Painting in one of the wings is adorable Chibi. She is so cute. She is going to wreck your day, and you will love it. She is the best. And I think that if you downsize her, should be a great fight for some, you know, the tier 2, late tier 1 adventurers. What's the worst that could happen? And the more I paint, I'm really starting to enjoy the sculpts because I'm finding small little details that could be great to work on on a larger scale version of this. Like, I'm really liking this style of miniature for some reason. But it's not at all because it's cute. But I think that even if you scale it up all the way to like gargantuan size, like twice the size, it would still be really fun to paint. So friendly. So I kind of messed a little bit on the upper part of that wing. It's a little messy. Can live with that, it's fine. So, in a situation like this, when you are painting something that stands out a little bit, but it's kind of thin, it's the best time to use edge highlighting techniques. But you really want to make sure that your brush does not have too much paint on it, because if it does, it will flow everywhere and ruin your position for this. So things like painting, I guess, wing pinions, ribs, whatever, and painting trim on armor is the first test of your brush control that you tend to run into as a new painter. And if your basics are not there, then it can be really frustrating. Also, I think I got a bit of the red on the green. That's okay because I have more green. Since I'm bracing my hand against my other hand, it's easier to just casually paint in the way. So for the underside of wings, I probably wouldn't really be highlighting this red as much. Just a few at the joints and at the sides that are exposed to light. Just to make sure that there isn't a lot of obvious grey on here, because that would look pretty bad. And also it's a slightly awkward angle. I need to rotate it so that I can paint the inside of the wing near the green head. Yep, so that's done. Other side. And this is not bad. We're getting some really good progress on this. It's been like maybe an hour and a half since I started working on her. So we still have quite a bit of time before I have to end the stream. And let's see how far we can get on painting Chibi Tiamat. Like, I might not be able to paint in all details and finish the base, but I think we can mostly finish most of the heads. Just touch up the places that I missed just now, or that I accidentally touched while moving the dragon. But I accidentally overpainted somehow. So this is why you want to paint using a wet palette if you're doing something with as many colors as this. Or you have some way to store the colors that you used. It just makes life easier. Right now I'm gonna take that off-white and go in and hit all the teeth. Teeth are not as obvious for the green head because green dragon knows how to close its mouth. Unlike the black dragon, which is overbite, underbite. Yeah, I think green dragon has more closed. Black dragon, on the other hand, it's gracious. Definitely paint this as teeth. He's not a smart boy. Smart boy. He's chunky. Bites. Just applying that off-white cream base that I use a little messily onto the black dragon's teeth. Some of these might be more skills than teeth. I will adjust them later on. Once wiping off my brush, and then the applying of the horns. which I am doing while kind of following the direction of the fonts themselves. As though I'm painting both. Because I am painting both. This makes sense. Now you can see I have laid down the initial bone color under a little bit of the brushstroke texture. I'm gonna let that dry and I can highlight out from that later. So you can get, the usual black dragon, off-white, grey kind of fonts. Fill in a little bit of color for the eye sockets. Big eyes. I feel like I should paint them some anime style eyes. So that way it'll be really chibi. Be more a Tiamat. My Tiamat can be this cute. Even now. I can't believe my Tiamat is this cute. I've been talking about how cute she is. Look at how cute she is. Just the cutest. How dare you doubt her cuteness? You are a unbeliever. Heretic. Quickly draw in the line. It is partially sculpted. I think I might do most of the eyes with the sculpt, being the usual draconic eyes, but a little bit more moe. And then for the black dragon eyes, I'm just gonna do like, you know that meme about King Ghidorah? Like two heads are perfectly normal and the third is just dumb. I'm gonna do that. I think it makes perfect sense. It is normally the white dragon head, since black dragons do say things too. It's just that unlike the other um dragon heads, the black one has like no sculpted eye. Like eye people. That's a red one. Probably something I have to point out though, that other heads have the eye pupils sculpted, but not the black and red heads. I'm paying a little bit more attention to this because the red head is going to be in the front. It's the one leaning right down opposite the fairy. So you make sure that it's a little cleaner looking. Let's go over top of the burnt parade. Side of the wing. Mic not working? Well, it's working now, right? Is it? Is it? Is it working? Yeah. I noticed that it started picking up after like I touched it. The mic needs heat pads to continue working. Understandable. It's an attention-seeking mic. Just like to this, it's a little easy to see, and then I will be buffing in. The blue dragon hates. darken a little bit later. Of course, right now it doesn't look really blue. I need to up the blue game. It's become super blue. Therefore, it's time to bring out the blue. They say blue is a super strong color. See it on paint brush, and when you apply it, coverage, no issues at all. Just super bright. So I'm just applying it a bit low above the initial colors. And like I said, the pink is a little more saturated than usual because younger dragons have more brightly colored skills. And that stands to reason that this will also be how baby Tiamat is. Instant blue baby dragon here. I even got a bit of blue to the eyes. It's not the best thing. But it's okay because once I highlight it, it will look as though it has blue eyes. This is all according to Keikaku. Keikaku means plan. If I recall, this little like pins for blue dragons are normally painted and off-white as well. But I'm painting blue right now because I like how it looks more. And I will decide and see if I want to bring a little bit of that off-white into there later on. Blue. Blue all the way. dialing down as it starts to dry, which is also okay because we have a brighter blue to highlight with later. Blue here is super blue. I will want to do the teeth as well and the I guess the horns, but that can wait till the blue has dried. That's okay. This one is the off-white, and the blue gray that I used for the white dragon looks pretty good. It's just that I want to make sure it looks even brighter. So I'm taking my brush and using that to stipple in. See that bright highlight color around the eyes. Continue doing that for the rest of the white dragon. And you will notice that the white dragon has this bony plates down the center of the head. This is because white dragons are dumb and they need the extra brain protection to protect their teeny tiny brains. But it's okay, even if they're dumb, they are still cute. We love them all the same anyway. Just, oh no, it's stupid. Nice off-white bluish dragon, which I would say is a pretty good thing to be. I'll mix a little bit of purple for the underside of it. Color. Focus. Blue dragon, white dragon. Not bad. Okay, what I need to do now is to do the highlighting for the braid. And I use the burnt red, which goes on pretty brightly and looks bright, but actually ends up more like it's kind of darker red color. So what I need now is a bright red to jump straight to. I'm gonna use this. It's both pyro red, it's one of the most vibrant reds you can get. And it's gonna change the look of this dragon so much because the majority of it is painted in red. So once I start highlighting the red, it's a big jump in color, in value, in saturation, everything. And you're gonna see a huge difference soon. So, red, right? So can I just arbitrarily highlight? Look at the difference. Look at the difference. Wow. Boom. I've not been working in individual skills at this point, so I'm just going over the entire thing of the piece. And covering most of it in red, because why? Red is super translucent. It's going on super bright and it might feel like it's very high contrast, but once it dries, it's gonna look a lot less saturated. So it's actually okay. Red between this side and the other side is night and day, I tell you. Night and day. And I'm really familiar with this because I have been painting a lot of red recently. If you follow me on Instagram, I've been painting the vermilion bird of the south. And it's red, it's very red. The hint is the name, vermilion is color for red. So red, so shiny. And I'm not even done with it yet. Still want to improve it a little bit more. Like this. So right. Saturate. Much dragon. Speaking of which, if I don't finish this in time, take a long time to finish this, would you say that I'm really dragging this on? I think the center bit, not caring about the bit that's in between the wings. That's a bit definitely. Need more highlighting. That dry, not touch it for a while. Just a little bit. I like the booty. times, you apply highlights to the head. And for the head, we're gonna go a lot brighter than you would at the other parts. And you want to make sure that the coverage is a lot stronger. I think difference. Red is one of the easiest colors to be highlighted up to because it's a translucent color, so it just blends very well. You don't have to worry as much about blending as long as you're smart about where you're putting your color. Just slowly work up your layers. And because this is the focus of the piece, the big head, I'm going to do another step, another couple more steps of highlighting later on, especially around the eyes, snout. It's really using the sculpt as a guide with my brush. It really helps. Okay, so I go dragon tail looking quite a bit better. Still want to do the teeth though, so we work on that. Tiny teeth. Where they are. Yes. In the teeny tiny teeth. We should wrap up at 11 p.m. do I know? I'm not sure how far I'm gonna get on this miniature. Because there are actually a lot more details than I realized when I first primed it. We want to go in and highlight the skills next. It's gonna take time. But I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit and then I'm gonna test it on the base. I'm just gonna fill in the sides of the eyes, the eye whites. That's gonna be a little messy, which is fine. That's why I have the original color on my palette to clean up. Right, so you can see green dragon is giving you side eye. Go in and kind of line the eyes a bit. So I said a little bit. So it's a little bit better after going in with the black, green. Cute, it's such little puppy eyes. For some reason, the blue eyes are kinda cute. Up the pasta a bit too much. I think I'm gonna paint them in the slightly chibi style. Makes more sense. So bigger eyes, much bigger eyes. Painting chibi eyes on dragons. How did my life choices bring me here? Enemy style eyes is actually really interesting. And definitely not easy. It has been a while since school days where I would amuse myself in class by drawing eyes. A very long time. So what I need to do now is to line the eyes. Make sure I got a nice circle around them. And then do a line, I guess. Center. And partially fill in. So clean with a bit of reflection in there. The first time ever in Moe Black Dragon Eyes. So cute, so sparkly. 100% the bee. Just look at that. It's cute. To me, it's very adorable. I have no words for how cute that is. It feels like Pokemon eyes. We draw into Japanese style animation. Movie eyes. Such as Tiamat, why are you so cute? Even the Black Dragon look a little weird right now, but they'll get better once I adjust and highlight. Let's try and wrap up maybe 5 minutes or so. So we just finish up the eyes. line. And bend. Okay, back to drawing a line. Oh, that is disturbing. City spam bots. Oh no, I have overpainted to the bed. See, and we'll have to clean this up after. And I will need to do a bit white shading. Cutesy eye like that with some reflection. Oh no. Too much black. Time to clean up. There we go. So what we're gonna do here is to take a little bit of the red and make the red eyes red dragon. This. Go back into black later on, I think. Definitely. It's roughly glazed over here. Yeah. We'll go back in and fix this later. It's kind of cute like this. Big GPIs. And before I end the stream, let's take a look at how it kind of looks when it's put back onto the base with the fair. There's only one way to put it together, and I still miss it every single beat. Can't be that it stopped fitting like 5 minutes since I started painting it. Yep. Come on. Right, there. There we go. Go inside, you snake dragon. Go home. Down. Stay. Big ugly things. It's just a bit. There we go. anything. Right. Here, that's how she looks right now. That's reasonable. And once you put that head on, with some difficulty, minor, teeny bit of difficulty, look at that, it's so cute. Eyes are a little weird right now because I haven't done like the dark part after I edit read. But I think it looks pretty good. The weights looking nice. I need to highlight the wings. Finish up the eyes, go in and clean up the teeth. But that's some good progress today, everyone. Good job. Yay me. Well done. Okay. It's 10:48. I have a bit more time to highlight stuff. Right, let's just go back and highlight. This will not at all end up me overrunning my time. But it's a waste to just use the paint on the palette and not finish it up. So, painting. It's so fun to paint. Like if you look at the two wings, the difference between the one that's a bit of highlighting and the one without is really obvious. At least I think it is. Oops. Like I said, for the side, I'm not really highlighting the underside that much. Just a bit at the tips of the wings, the tips and the sides of those. Okay. If I don't stop now, I'm not gonna be stopping finish this miniature. Not pretty far on it. It's not too bad. So later on, I'm gonna grab some glue tack, stick on the red head, and take a work in progress picture. But for what we have so far, I think we should be pretty happy. It's not too bad for about 2.5 hours of painting. Since she is a large size miniature after all, and we're not working with the airbrush here, we're doing all this by hand, other than the initial priming job. But even so, because we're covering up most of the priming and just using it as a guide for putting down color, it's pretty good progress for the time that we have. So definitely to work on the fairy as well, so that's actually the least important part because she is just there to be scared. Close this. So if you like Baby Tiamat, you know where to go to get your own. It's the Gothic Taverns Kickstarter by Dragon Workshop. Who makes dragons? Who would have thought? Hey, thanks for coming by for the stream, guys. It was really nice having you here while I rambled to myself about how cute dragons are. And if you want to hear me talk more about this, I'm going to be writing a blog article and putting it up on our website soonish. And when I finish this miniature, those pictures are going to be in that blog post. So like pretty soonish. Mostly, I think, hopefully. Yeah, totally. Stop falling off. So either way, thanks for coming by. Hang out with me, doing my painting hangout. while I paint Chibi Tiamat, the Chibi ears of the Chibi. And hopefully the next couple of days you're gonna see the finished pictures, and she's gonna be just gorgeous and cute. And you know what, if you guys ever get this file yourself and you picked it up, I want you to show me what you do with it. I'm so excited to see how people paint up their Tiamats. Tiami, Tiamata, Tiamato, okay, whatever it is. This is Jazion. Thanks for coming by, and I'm just be signing off right now. See you around, guys.